any questions you have of our panelists. And I see Mel with her hand up, and I see Jose with his hand up. If you want to go to him first and then Mel.
So this is a question for the one from Vietnam. What's your name again?
Yeah, Vietnam's pretty wonderful. I'm Shannon.
Okay, Shannon. How did the communist regime in Vietnam view people with disabilities?
Excellent question. So in Vietnam, I don't know how many people know about the history of Vietnam, but there's the North and the South, and the North is the communist part, and the South was a democratic part until after Vietnam War, and then they took over. So basically in Vietnam, which is most of Asia, and I wouldn't say just specifically Vietnam, but people with disabilities are seen as like they sinned, or their parents sinned in their past lifetime, so they're being punished, and that's why they have a child with a disability. My dad has said that once or twice, and I know for sure that that's not true, and I have learned to, not take that personally and not use that as a guide or determining my life. And so I think my parents decided to take me to the United States because they knew that if I didn't go, I would never ever have a life, meaning I would be always back at home, or I would be thrown in the well, because people with disabilities were always left in orphanages, or they were killed and abandoned because they weren't seen as valuable human beings. And we all know that's not true, right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. And so I'm fortunate that my parents didn't have that same mentality, and they took the risk and took me to America, even though I couldn't walk, and they had to carry me the entire trip. So I'm very fortunate, and not everyone's gonna have parents who would do that, and that's why we here need to be advocates for them, because sometimes in other countries and even here, people with disabilities aren't gonna have people who are gonna advocate for them, and I hope that you guys being here this week, you guys will take that and advocate for other people, not just yourselves too, but other people as well. So I hope I answered your question.
Can we get Jake the microphone, please? Right here in the front.
I don't know who's going to run that mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, Mel has a question in the back, Nathan.
For you, Confident Benjamin, about your disability, how did you overcome your disability and be in the law enforcement, and how did confidence built in you, and how did strength built in you that you can overcome anything by proving everybody wrong? Because that's what I do, and I wonder, how did you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and the biggest thing with me specifically is I had to prove, I had teachers and there was principals that had told my parents that I would never amount to anything but maybe a mechanic.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And that's the stuff that I faced. The biggest thing that I had going for me is I had a good family, a loving family. My parents never allowed me to be put down by those particular things. But the reality is, just by being myself, being the confident person that my parents raised, all those barriers eventually collapsed.
Yeah.
And that's the reality is, I'll share with you, the job I have now is the first job that someone didn't give to me. And what the reason I say give is someone always saw something within me, and they were always recommending me to a lot of jobs, just like the youth leadership forum. And I'll tell you, this was probably the biggest springboard that I had in my life. When I came here and I left, I was a completely different person. And the reality is, once you have that belief in yourself, hold on to that.
Yeah.
Because if you let go of it, the reality is, as time goes by, you forget things. you know, and you need to hold on to that, hold on to the reality that someone sees something within you. And then realize that you see that something in yourself, and never allow anybody to take that further. You know, and that's been the biggest thing that I've had in my life, is I've seen, you know, I've sat next to somebody that told my parents, that particular person told my parents I would never amount to anything. 6 years later, I'm sitting right next to him, and he has to introduce me to a crowd of 400 people as this person that's become so successful. That's how you different things that they go through. You know, and the biggest thing for me has been confidence.
Yeah.
Once I realized that I did amount to something, I started living as that person. You know, don't live as the incompetent person that they're talking about. You be who you are.
Thank you.
Where's our next question? Right there, the pink, and then in the front we have Alexander.
How would you describe how to
Take your time.
how did you become going into the field of child development and getting through the classes?
Oh, that's
That's me. Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you. That's a very good question. My father was a school psychologist, and my mom was a speech therapist, so I was really exposed to that at a very young age. My dad and my mother really were inspired with education, and I was always hearing beautiful stories. My dad would come home and how they were able to help children and with their educational aspirations. And I said, I want to be like them. And really, originally I wanted to be a lawyer because I was in that fight mode. And then I realized I wanted to do more. I wanted to actually be with people, so rather than fight. So I went to undergrad at UC at pre-law, worked there, and I realized that's not something I want to do. I'm not cut out for law. No. So I can argue, but I don't want to do law. And then I thought, what am I going to do? And then I took some child development classes, and I fell in love. And I made the connections to, this is what my dad was talking about. This is all the time that I was growing up, and it's fascinating because when you read a book and it actually happens in reality, when you do assessments and therapy and you're looking at that is exactly where it happens. What's the critical period of learning for the brain? It is amazing to see that happen. And plus, being able to empower the children with disabilities, realize that disability is just a different way of learning, that's all. It doesn't define us. And so now, I'm carrying my father's torch to help other children become successful in their educational careers. So that's how I got involved at a young age. Good question. Yeah.
All right, Nathan, can you give the next
Okay, so for Jeff, I think his name is, I'm a self-published writer, and I've been thinking about professionally publishing. I was just kind of wondering what steps have you taken towards reaching that goal?
Yeah, that's a, okay, good. Yeah, so what I've been doing is, I did at one point self-publish. It was a unique experience, but it didn't quite work out like I had planned because, and I don't want to discourage anybody, but the company that I went through, they kind of were more of a vanity press. I mean, they even, believe it or not, even one point they wanted me to go to Los Angeles to do a book signing. It would have cost me, I would have had to pay like about $3,000, and I would not have gotten anything in return. So, and at that time, that was pretty much all my money in my account. And I explained to them that's all my money, and did they listen? No. And then I ended my contract. So what I did was, I just decided to strike out on my own and see what I could do. So what I did was, the year before, I I started a website where people can read my books digitally. The bookshop didn't quite work out so well, but what I decided to do next was, since I copyrighted my books, I made a Facebook page so people can read my books for free now. But you know, the fact that I'm putting myself out there, I have confidence one day a publisher will discover me. I also did try to get into this literary agency last year. They never responded. Maybe they just weren't interested. It's hard to say. Or maybe my email is still in their file and they just haven't read it yet. But I'm just going to keep going because I know one day I'm going to be professionally published. My work will be in a bookshop one day. I have confidence. Is there anything else to your question I missed?
No, that's about it. But I kind of wondering for you personally. Did you ever try CreateSpace.com? That's where I self-published, and it's like completely independent.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I'm like, but I personally just didn't want to spend any money like on something that I'm not sure. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. But I just kind of right now because I'm in school, I kind of have to watch my money. But I feel really good though about having my website and my Facebook page that I made to go with it, because I mean, and I've even come across some people who I've never met who actually read some of my stuff on the Facebook page. And let me state this again. This is not my personal Facebook page. This is one that I made to go with my website. And some people have actually said they were really impressed with what I've written, especially with having Asperger Syndrome. I even have some people who like my Facebook page that live in London, and I don't even know those people. So it's impressive, like how I'm just putting myself out there. I mean, the fact that if somebody in London discovered my Facebook page and website, I have a feeling someday I'm going to be discovered as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any more questions? All right, lots of questions. Right up here, and first.
This is for Benjamin. What made you pursue your career in law enforcement, or not law enforcement, in the correctional, with the facility, or as a correctional officer?
Yeah, actually it's kind of funny. I went to school and law enforcement, I was always a pretty good kid. I had stayed out of trouble. It's one of those things. My parents told me the rules. I remembered them. And I didn't get into too much trouble. And I went to college. I found I was having a hard time. I was paying for my own college when I was going. And I struggled to find the resources. I'll be honest, I wasn't patient at that age. And I struggled to find resources. So I did that for about 3 years. And then I finally had some friends who, we're all going to school, and we all looked at each other and said, no, we're not getting into trouble. Let's try law enforcement. And it's basically started there. The biggest thing with going into law enforcement for me is in order to get through the academy, all the tests are timed. You have to remember your whole, you have to give your whole life history. And those things, that was really the scary thing for me, is writing reports. And that was my fear. I knew I could write the reports, but it was a matter of the amount of time it's going to take me to write the reports. And then the other big thing is I had family members that were awesome in the department. So, I fell back on law enforcement, and the big thing that holds me there now is I like to deal with people. I would rather be on the opposite side of it, helping people to stay out of there. But I found over the years, I've been doing it for 12 years, that I'm able to help people within there to deal with their day-to-day. I help my coworkers. So I was able to find a way to do what I like to do, which is I like helping people and dealing with people. And, it takes a lot of patience to work in there. I tell people people get prison and jail mixed up. Jail is, I tell people jail is temporary. The people that are going to where I work, a lot of them are there. They're going to be there in my life 30 plus years. So you're dealing with people that are dealing with extreme stress, not seeing their family, and a lot of those things, and that's the type of stuff that I really like to do before I went into corrections. But it took me 5 years to find that part of the job and really enjoy what I do. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
I wonder what it's like when you live out on your own for the first time and being disabled.
Oh, I got the answer. Did I answer that? I loved it. Okay. Who was? Oh, I don't know who that was for, but I can tell. I loved it. It was the most amazing to move out of my parents. I went to UC Davis, undergraduate. My parents wanted me to stay home with them, you know, under their little protective bubble. But then I realized, yeah, they had to let me fly. But the experience was the best ever because you have to fall up and you have to get back up. You fall down because my parents were always trying to hold me down. And I was like, no. So hold me up. So also they taught me, you have to get up. You have to get up on your own. And as much as you can. And so, yeah, I lived in the dorms. I was with other students. And you will be surprised at how many very, very cool people to be around. My brother had this saying, I don't know if I can cuss or not, but you're going to meet many assholes, but you're going to meet a lot of beautiful, sweet, loving people too. So you're going to have to find that balance. It's true, it doesn't matter if you're disabled or not. You still have to, learn how to deal with all types of people. And you're going to find that in the dorms. It's for the rest of your life. You're going to have friends that will stand by you no matter what to help you get what you want. And there's going to be other people that are going to, not so nice. But again, it's their experience, not them, not me. It's their experience, it's their issue. For whatever reason, we feel like we have to take on their feelings and their fear and their whatever, but I had to learn that. It's your problem, not mine. Goodbye. So it was a good learning experience. Yes, move out as soon as you possibly can. Make your own living, because you can do it. Okay. Thank you, Laura.
Hi. So I also moved out, when I went to college, it's the first time I moved out, and I loved it too. I concur with everything she said. It was amazing. And for me, when I went to high school, I didn't really have any friends with disabilities. I didn't have a great program like YLF or anything. So when I went to college, I actually met another girl in a wheelchair, and we clicked. We talked about a lot of similar experiences, challenges, and barriers, and we became instant best friends. And I've always had able-bodied friends, which is fine. But I never had anyone who totally get what I was going through, and she and I are still best friends to this day. And a lot of my friends that I met in dorm room are still my best friends to this day. And they live in different parts of the cities now. We don't live in the same city, but we still connect and meet up. And so I think I encourage you to move out because you discover a whole new world out there that you wouldn't know until you take that risk, and it's so much fun. Dorms, I would suggest a dorm for at least the first year because you don't have to worry about food for a while, and then you started learning, okay, maybe you should start learning how to cook and things like that because food doesn't always taste that great. But, those are things that it's like being part of the stage in your life where you want to explore and try out different clubs and try out different things and meet different people and learn who you are as a person and learn the world and all this. There's so much to see and so much to explore that I just think that you can only get that when you go out and live on your own and learn about what it's like to at the dorm tech price. You don't have to worry about unless you pay for tuition and all that stuff. But when you move out, you have to sophomore year I moved out with some friends into a house. Apartment, and then from there, we'd learn how to pay rent, how to cook food, all that stuff. I just had to learn, because I didn't really cook when I was in high school. My mom did all the cooking. So, those are very important skills that that's important to learn because that way you can, be independent and have a career and not always have to go back home. So I encourage everyone to do it.
Except for the laundry. I really like having my mother do that for me.
Now that's a very good question, because I remember my mom was very, very protective. There was a lot of things that really until this happened and it was forced on her. she wasn't ready to accept that I was really just able to get out there and do a lot. She believed in me. You know, a lot of the reason why I am the person I am now is because of my mom and my dad. But when I remember the day I moved out, they were pretty much completely against it. They were like, you're not ready. And basically, they didn't really have a choice. And you know what? I flew out the nest to Fresno. I was there for 6 months, and I fell on my face. You know, and that's I'll share the reality is, you realistically want to get out there because you're going to have failures. You're going to find out what you can do and what you can't do. You know, and but you have to fly out of the nest. You can't stay there. You know, and the reality is you've learned how to live your life with whatever differences you have. Your parents have been watching you. So they're always looking out for you not falling over. They're never going to let you out the nest when they're looking at the rock or the wolf that's down there to get you. So you have to really look out there and figure out how you're going to do it, have your failures, know who you can go back to, go back. And then the reality is I moved out for that 6 months. I think I moved home for maybe another 6 months. I've never been home since. You know, and that's the reality is. And that's through having the will to just jump out there and figure out how to live your life. You know, and then the big thing that helped me is by that time my confidence was in the clouds. So I already knew if I can't do it this way, I'm going to figure out how to get it done. And you know, it's just through being that way.
Well, I must say that I'm glad somebody asked that question because, like I said, next month is going to be the 10-year anniversary of when I first moved out of my parents' house and onto my own. That was a very unique experience. The first night I slept on my bed in my apartment because I didn't live in a dorm. But I remember thinking that night, oh my gosh, my first night in a place on my own and not living at home. It was kind of an emotional moment. I mean, it wasn't like bad, but you know, it was just, you know, I realized it's a new chapter in my life, and you know, and like I said, like, you know, I still needed some help along the way, but my parents and my family just guided me, and you know, I've just been doing really well, and let's see, what I was really fortunate was that my folks that they actually bought the first apartment I lived in because my first years of general education was at the junior college in the Bay Area where I stayed for a couple years, and then now the same thing happened when I came out here so I can go to UC Davis. So I'm really fortunate that my parents were able to, like, you know, get the places because they've been really wonderful homes I've lived in, and so I'm really glad I was given that opportunity to live on my own because, I mean, who knows, if I was still living at home, you know, I mean, who knows if I would be ready to move out, you know. I mean, maybe you never know. It could be like what you see on TV where men act like idiots because they're still living at their parents' house. You never know. I mean, maybe that's just fiction. I don't know, but it amazes me like how television likes to make it look like that people are dumb. You know what I'm saying? But you know, but hey, I got out. I mean, and just like Benjamin said, we all do need to fly on our own some days. I mean, and in fact, me living on my own, I was able to do some stuff that my folks never thought I would do. I mean, heck, like 2 years ago, like because I like to travel a lot. My family was impressed with all the planning I did so I can go to Disney World for the very first time on my own 2 years ago. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, like they're just really impressed with like what I do, like all the research I do for like those things, all like and also what I have to do for right now so I can get into grad school. Like, you know, I've been speaking to the counselor quite a bit and going from there, but I still, you know, 10 years on my own, I still need some advice because, and that's okay because life is about learning things. Whether you're living on your own or not, it's always a learning experience. And you know what? I gotta say it, 10 years next year, woohoo!
Okay, so Pablo has a question, and then we're going to do another stretch. Okay, so Pablo's going to stand up so everyone can see him sign. So I had a question for Wanda. Now, the experiences that you went through with child psychology, you said it was working with disabled children that you work with, and did you have deaf children you work with?
Yes, I still do. Yes, grown-ups still Even with people, they think, oh, you know, I understand about deafness. And hearing people, some deaf people, it's not just hearing people, deaf people too. Some interpreters, they just don't get it. And it just happens. But most of the experience have been very positive for me. I've had a lot of support, and it's interesting because when you make friends with the group, you attract that energy, you attract that positivity, you know? And my brother was different. My brother is 6'9", basketball player, deaf. Boys are different. Girls are much more sensitive, they talk nicely. Boys are sort of like, well, who are you? What's wrong with you? And my brother is like, yeah, he's very lucky with the girls, always liked him, and, you know, and not boys, not so much, but I had a lot of friends, and family was very supportive, so it really helps. But yeah, really honestly, everyone is always made fun of. It's not just disabled people, it's a human experience. So unfortunately, people, you know, it says that bully says more about them. They're insecure. They don't really have the self-critical skills. They don't have really good energy. So it's, again, they are projecting their energy onto you. It's not about you, it's about them. So you have to learn how to put up a barrier, and all you have to say is, sorry. I'm just sorry. Because it's not your experience, it's their experience. It's your experience to learn from, to set up that boundary, but you can't control them and their perceptions. So look for the positivity in people that support you and encourage you and want you to do well in schools and help with your aspirations. And stay with that group. You want that energy, but sometimes you see a person who's like, I want to be like that person, but they're negative. So you have, okay, that's a lesson for you right there. You don't want that. So if they don't give you what you need and want, then you move on. You just let it go. I love that mantra, let it go, because you can't change another person. The only thing that you can change is yourself. Okay? Good question.
Where is our stretcher?
And the golden ticket.